I live in the state of Florida, and it is hotter than a. So how do we combat that? Well, there's a couple of things. You can move the hell out of the state. I'm all right. I like Florida. What we're doing is we're doing a budget ice bath build. I cannot afford one of these fancy schmancy $5,000 ice bath, but I saw a video of a couple of creators on YouTube that made an ice bath style. I think it was like $1,500. I think I can actually do a couple of things that are gonna upgrade their ice bath builds. A couple of ideas that I have up in the old noggin here. Anyways, my wife's pregnant, and hopefully she can ease some of her leg pain in the ice bath. So stay tuned. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. All right, got the wood. It's time to build some shit. Woo!
I started the build with a couple of old 2x4s that I had from a previous rock wall project, and then I had to grab a couple more that I needed from the big box store. I then broke the 2x4s down into 4 different sections. I needed 2 end caps and I needed 2 inner frames. The end caps were about 26 inches tall by 30 inches wide, and to keep the frame together, I used these 2-inch star drive screws, which worked really well. Then I had to measure out the inner frame, which was about 68 inches long by 26 inches tall.
67. Let's call it 68 inches.
I borrowed this design from a couple of builders on YouTube, so big shout out to you fellers. You started this, and now I'm gonna grab the torch and I'm gonna make some upgrades. This way I could turn this project into a professional level ice bath. So pull up a chair, grab some popcorn, and welcome to another episode of Nora's Daddy Builds with me, Nora's Daddy.
Got all the stretchers in between the frame, and now it's time to insulate this bad boy. So I got this nice Artec insulation. It's got a 7.8 R rating, so you know that's good. Let's go ahead and cut it up.
Yo, get the speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound. Hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
Once I finished installing the main walls, it was time to move into phase 2 of the insulation process, which was insulating the actual wooden frame and sealing every gap with the spray gap foam. Now, this step matters if you're trying to make a professional level ice bath. You see, wood does slow down heat transfer, but it's not a perfect thermal barrier. So if you're trying to perfectly insulate the ice bath, you're gonna need to add extra insulation to the wooden frame. Now, I had some Owens Formular left over, and with an R value of 3, it was the perfect material for this stage in the build. I attached those panels using some Gorilla Glue spray adhesive, and it worked really well. At this point in the build, my goal was simple: do the best insulation job possible, so I can say with complete confidence, if anything about this ice bath fails, it wasn't the insulation. Now, this is my first time insulating an ice bath, or to be honest, insulating anything at all, so we'll find out together how well I did once this whole thing is running. But I'm pretty confident that the insulation's gonna kick ass because I researched it and I planned it and I put the time in and I did everything the right way. I'm adding rail insulation so the horse trough can sit up snug against this. Then I'm adding this flex tape here to get the gaps in the corners to try to prevent thermal leaks. I got all the insulation, I got everything dialed up. Now I'm gonna throw some house wrap on it, and then we can start putting the horse trough in and then start the plumbing for the ice bath. After watching about 1 million home building videos, I started to notice that the builders consistently added a layer of a house wrap once the frame was complete. And I found out that this material provides essential protection against the elements, and it helps to extend the life of the wooden structure by keeping the moisture out. So for my ice bath build, this seemed like a no-brainer decision. Once the frame was wrapped, I sealed all the seams with the Tyvek tape, which was the recommended product for this type of application. Sealing the edges with this tape ensures a continuous watertight barrier that enhances the overall weather resistance of the build. And in addition to water protection, the house wrap is also breathable, allowing any trapped moisture to escape, which prevents buildup within the layers. Additionally, now that you've officially seen me hump a horse trough, I think it's time we make this relationship official, and you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel.
Come to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs. All right, I got the 2 holes installed. I got one on the bottom. You want it about 1.5 inches off the bottom. That cool water is gonna go all the way down, and you wanna circulate that into the chiller. First, you want it to go into the pump. Then you want it to go into the chiller. And then from the chiller, you want it to come back on the top. You want the top hole about 10 to 14 inches above the bottom hole. This leaves enough area so it won't, suck in the water and make the loop pointless. But you want the cool water from the chiller coming back onto the top water because the top water is hot, heat rises. This makes a really nice, efficient loop in the system. Trying to figure out where the inlet and the outlet is on the top of this chiller, but all it shows me is a box. So we've established it's a box, but maybe, the back of the box, the front of the box, the side of the box, I'm not sure. But we're gonna sit here, do a little story time, read up, and maybe we'll have a correct ice bath installation video for you here if this all works out. All right, here she is. She's a 1/2 horsepower of American Beauty. I'm just kidding. She's definitely Chinese.
So this is the second upgrade I think I could bring to the DIY ice bath space. In order to have a really cold ice bath, you're gonna need a proper chiller. Not one that saves on the wallet, not one that you buy off of some dude on Facebook Marketplace, a real deal chiller. For example, the horse trough I have, when filled, will hold 70 to 75 gallons. So you gotta have a chiller that's going to be able to chill 70 to 75 gallons. You guessed it. The chiller I have has a 0.5 horsepower mechanism and it's rated for up to 130 gallons, which means it's got more than enough horsepower to chill this unit. Also, if you're constantly having to put ice in an ice bath, isn't it just a bath at that point? Don't be a cheap ass. Get the proper ice chiller. You might even get a cold ice bath at the end of the whole thing.
All right, word on the street, the pump that came from my chiller, not that great. In order to run a system properly, you have to have a water pump that's gonna fluidly and powerfully enough move the water around your system. You can have stagnation in your system, even your chiller, as well as your filters, if you don't have the proper pump. All right, so here's the situation. They sent me 2 barbs, 2 completely different sizes. So I don't really know what the logic for that is, other than they just assume somebody's going to use it as a submersible pump. Well, that's great, but it's advertised as a pump that you can use as other than a submersible pump. I don't want a submersible pump because I don't want to have a live electrical pump in my ice bath when I'm trying to relax. It just seems like a shit idea. So I want a non-submersible pump, and I want a goddamn liter of cola.
What? A liter of cola?
I got a new pump, and now this is gonna work really good because it's got the good ends. So yeah. All right, let's do this. On the tubing here that we got tied into the port, the sleeve helps with keeping the water cold. It's like insulation for the tubing. All right, let's do a check here. We got the in coming from the tank, going into the filter, going into the water pump. The water pump's pumping the water into the chiller, and then the chiller's pushing it back out through here into the top. We got all our lines, we got insulation on our lines. I'd say it's looking good, and it's time to run, baby. It's time to run like the wolves.
What would we do with a drunken sailor? What would we do with a drunken sailor? What would we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning.
I used tongue and groove cedar for this build for a couple of reasons. 1, the wood looks really great. 2, because it resists moisture and rot, which is important for an ice bath in a Florida garage. And 3, because I plan to use the same wood for my upcoming sauna project. Now, traditionally, saunas require Western red cedar, and this isn't Western red cedar, but it is cedar, so it gives me some familiarity with cedar before I go ahead and spend $1,500 on the wood for the sauna build. Now, on this project, I went with a 1/4 inch cedar because it was affordable, and even though it's thin, it still looks amazing. So if you see me nailing through the face instead of the tongue, that's intentional. On 1/4 inch boards, the tongue is too fragile and will definitely split. Normally you can hide nails in the tongue and groove boards, but with thinner panels, that doesn't work. So word to the wise, if you want to hide your nails, you're going to have to go ahead and get at least a 1/2 inch tongue and groove panel.
You got your safety right here. You hit the safety, and then it plunges. So you just want to back it up off it a little bit. Yeah. And then...
I got the plywood top and I'm gonna waterproof this because it's gonna get a lot of cold splash water out of here. When you get your cold little toesies out of here, you're not worried about where you're splashing water. I got this nice waterproof stain and sealer. I'm gonna have that tongue and groove cedar on top. It's not gonna take the brunt of it, but anything that seeps below the tongue and groove cedar is gonna hit that waterproof layer right there. So it's pretty necessary.
I wanted to build the top of the ice bath in a way so that if it got destroyed, I would easily be able to replace it. So I cut out this piece of 3/4 inch plywood and I stained it with a waterproof sealant to prevent the plywood from getting water damage that could lead to mold.
30 and 1 after an eighth. Okay.
So what I did was I only used brad nails to secure it to the frame. This way you could yank it up with a pry bar if you needed to swap it out in a hurry. Now when it comes to the top of the ice bath, I wanted to keep the same tongue and groove appearance that I did with the outside, and it really couldn't have come out any better. The combination of the waterproof underlayer and the naturally rot resistant cedar made this top a top that can last for many years to come. In fact, one of the principles of this channel is to build high quality items that will last for 10, 20, 30, maybe 40 years and still function at a high level at those points. I have this principle because I'm disappointed in modern times when it comes to furniture building and construction. People build bullshit nowadays. This ice bath is not only set up to be interchangeable with different chillers and different filters, but it also allows room to replace all of the wooden components if anything goes wrong. In the tech world, they would call this open sourcing. In my world, I would just call this, hey, don't be so goddamn lazy when you build something. I wholeheartedly believe that if you're going to take the time to do something, you might as well do it correctly. I think there's already too much mediocrity on YouTube, and I really don't want to add to that.
All right, I'm trying to get the lip edge around the ice bath. It is battling me here at the end of the day. What I'm doing is I'm kind of hand tracing it and then I'm using a jigsaw to see if I can get that lip cut in. I forgot to record doing the jigsaw, but honestly, sometimes things are so difficult, you just gotta put the camera down for a minute.
Once I finished wrapping the horse trough lid with that tongue and groove cedar, it was time to move on to the trim. You see, trim is one of those small details that really makes a project look clean and professional. A good trim job could hide the nails, cover the joints, and it just gives everything a more polished look. So I took out my table saw and I ripped down some of the leftover tongue and groove into 1 3/8 inch strips. Then I applied wood glue to these strips before installing them. It's not just for strength, but it also helps to keep the water from sneaking underneath those strips. And then to lock everything in place, I used 1-inch stainless steel brad nails. It's important to use stainless steel brad nails because they don't rust, and for a project like this where moisture is always around, it's going to make a world of difference.
she finally came in. I got my UV filter for the chiller right there. Do, 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 do. Time to filter some water. So this is the UV filter. Gotta put a light bulb in here.
One of my favorite parts of any project is when you finally get to put the stain on the wood. And on this project, I'm using Cabot's Australian timber oil to bring this ice bath to life. The reason I chose this stain is because Australian timber oil is great for cedar because it actually soaks into the wood instead of sitting on the surface. You see, cedar is soft and naturally porous, so this oil helps keep moisture out and it keeps the boards from drying unevenly or cracking over time. It also brings out the natural color without making the wood look too shiny or fake. It's just a real simple way to protect cedar so it lasts a lot longer in humid or wet environments. And I feel like taking care of the wood this way honors the wood after it's been chopped down. I feel like if you take care of your wood's gonna take care of you.
All right, I'm taking this piece of 3/4 inch plywood. It's 47 long, 23 inches wide. This is going to be the base of the lid for the ice bath. I got this Gorilla Clear Grip. I'm gonna throw the insulation on top of this, and then I got a waterproof plastic membrane. I'm gonna throw that on top of this, and then I'm gonna trim it out with some cedar. Also, I'm gonna put that same cedar paneling on the other side of this to give us our lid. Okay.
Please, oh please, won't you stick around? I don't wanna say goodbye when the sun goes down. I wanna keep you close, wanna hold you tight. I don't ever wanna say goodnight, won't you stick around? An hour or two will never be enough to be with you. Whenever you leave me longing and blue. Please, oh please, won't you stick around? Spare just a little time, don't go running round. I wanna keep you close, wanna hold you tight. I don't ever wanna say goodnight, won't you stick around? Well, if you leave, don't leave it oh so long.
She took the dog, oh, it's all gone to hell. She's gone to her mom. To tell me I took the bed. We are going to use this for the edge trimming of the lid. It's also cedar, and I think it's gonna give it a really nice look. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this on the chop saw, and then I'm gonna put some nice miters on it to give it some really nice corners. All right, I'm gonna start with 2 cuts, about 49 inches, just to leave it with some wiggle room. And then I'm gonna do 2 cuts at about, I think, 23 inches for the end caps. And then we're gonna switch the miter saw to a 45-degree angle and get that get in there with that real nice angle, baby. Woo! All right, I'm gonna sand this bad boy down to from 80 grit all the way up, I think 100 grit, maybe 120 grit, not really sure. But I'm gonna sand it down. Once I got it good and sanded, then I'm gonna pre-drill the holes for my handle on here. And then I'm also gonna drill out the notches on here so it's recessed into the wood for the hinges so it'll sit nice and flush. And then I'm gonna put this Cabot oil on here, the same that's on the ice bath. But the only thing is, Amazon is playing games with me and they're pretty late. So they're supposed to be here today, but now they're giving me some August 29th bull jive. Yeah.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time and I came to groove. The whole band's here and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot and I can't be beat. Watch out now. Baby, watch out now. Watch out. I'm on the move, I'm going up. I'm a man on a mission with no missions and I'm looking for love. Oh, I'm just looking for love. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good, baby. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Last call for some alcohol. And don't forget the tip. The sun went down, but we still rolling. The band's still going, playing all the hits. I can't stop now, too legit to quit. I'm coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot and I can't be beat. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out. I'm on the move, I'm going up. I'm a man on a mission with no missions and I'm looking for love. Oh, I'm just looking for love. Gotta be against the law.
I'm trying really hard to establish my channel on YouTube, and so I know I needed to bring my top game when it came to this project. I needed something to take this project over the top aesthetically. This way I can get that really great thumbnail that's needed to get the views. So I decided I was going to make a spa-like back wall, and I was going to incorporate a couple of different elements like cedar, some fake grass, and maybe a really sweet neon sign. So I bought these fake grass panels online, and then I went and got a couple of 1x6 cedar boards, and then I ordered a really sweet neon sign. The sign said chill, and it was too poetic, and I had to get it. I also bought some MDF boards so I could secure the fake grass to the concrete wall. It was then time to get to work, so I stained the cedar boards with the same Australian timber oil I used for the ice bath, and then I used a concrete bit to drill the hole in the wall so I could secure the MDF boards with the Tapcon screws. This way I could staple in the fake grass to the MDF board, and you would never see any screws or staples or anything like that. When I first envisioned building an ice bath for my house, I never imagined it would turn out so perfect. I've used this ice bath now for about 6 months. I've gone through summer and then now Florida winter, and I can unequivocally tell you that this ice bath fucking rocks. I ended up fully automating everything about this ice bath into a Smart Life app, and I have it running on 3 schedules that turn it on and off during the day. This definitely saves me massive amounts of electricity, and it enables me to control the system from anywhere with Wi-Fi. I also installed a water temperature sensor so I can check the water temperature from my phone. I think this project goes to show you that you don't need to spend 5 to 10 grand on a fancy ice bath. If you have ChatGPT and some motivation, you can definitely build a professional level ice bath for about $1,700. In fact, I would argue that my $1,700 ice bath is more durable and reliable than a lot of the higher level models on the market, and also it certainly has the fancy features like being Wi-Fi enabled, being extremely cold, and looking pretty dang fancy if I don't say so myself. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the coolest damn channel on YouTube, pun definitely intended.
All right, I got my little Smart Life app right here. So you hit that, and then this bad boy, let's see what we're reading right now. 45 degrees. And it also takes the ambient temperature into account. It's 64 degrees right now. And if you go here, statistics will tell you this morning it was even colder than this. Okay. So cool little app. Plus I can get on here. I got everything programmed so I can turn it off there. Or I can just turn the exhaust fan on, I could turn the pump on, or I could turn the chiller on right here, and then I could set schedules for it throughout the day. Pretty cool little thing.